So welcome back, my dear friends and friends. This is my last lecture of the semester, and actually the course is over. This is the last lecture about the conclusion. We are going to conclude whatever we have studied and what we have learned from that. Some takeaways. So, environmental education and conservation was the name of the course, and this course was for the this is the 8-week course, and we have already given 40 detailed presentations, and we discuss about environmental system, biodiversity, conservation and sustainable practices. At the end of this course, you are expected to understand the interrelationship between the biotic and abiotic component of the environment. Biotic means non-living like soil, air, water, and abiotic means living like plants. So biodiversity concepts, types and indices, principle of sampling and biodiversity assessment. If we are discussing about the biodiversity, we have to do the assessment of the biodiversity, and that includes the sampling and all, and also conservation practices, conservation priorities at local, national and global level. Why environmental education? Beginning of our course, we discussed why environmental education is so important. We understood that it's not just about learning facts, it's transformative process that help us become more aware of environmental issues and the way we can address them. We also talk about how this learning develop critical thinking and problem solving skill, which are essential for effective environmental stewardship. Throughout our discussion, we realize that environmental education connects human actions with environmental system, reminding us how closely our lifestyle are linked to the planet's Earth. So by the end of this section, you all had recognized that this course aimed to empower you to become informed decision makers and active participants in the environmental conservation. You now appreciate that a small informed action can collectively make a big difference. The course empower you to become the informed decision makers and active participant in environmental conservation. Be the part of the conservation team. This is the mandate of this course. Key goal of environmental education and conservation: understand the complex relationship between human activities and the environmental system, develop critical thinking, empower individuals and communities to make informed decisions and participate active in conservation, mitigate negative impact on human activities including pollution and climate change to help people understand of biodiversity and wildlife conservation. Week 1, we begin the introduction, the structure and purpose of environmental education and conservation course. We discuss about the environmental foundation, structure of the environment, education and conservation, examine the concept, component and types of environment, understood biotic and abiotic factors, environmental zonation, zones we discuss, studied on 4 zones: atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere. We discuss all these 4 zones in the environment and learn their functions and zonation pattern, and connected zones to real world phenomena like climate regulation, weather pattern. Why this matter? Because these concepts from the foundation for understanding how different environmental components interact and maintain ecological balance. Energy flow, we learn about the flow of the energy and nutrient in the ecosystem, helping you understand how energy moves through different trophic level. The concept of food chain and food web was explained along with ecological pyramid to show how energy transfer from one transfer sustain lives. We introduced biodiversity, discussing its meaning, scopes, and magnitude across different species. Introduced biodiversity. What is biodiversity? We discussed, and the types of biodiversity like genetic, species and ecosystem diversity, also alpha, beta, and gamma diversity. These topics help you appreciate how diverse between the species contribute to ecosystem stability and resilience. Also, we understood measuring the biodiversity indices. There are different indices we discussed, like alpha, beta, and gamma, assessment tools like Simpson's index, Shannon-Wiener index, roles, and key concept species richness, evenness, and diversity metrics. Practical application to conserve planning. Week 2 focused on sampling theory and biodiversity assessment techniques. You learn how sampling help represent entire ecosystem through systematic data collection. These concept equipped you with the ability to design reliability biodiversity survey and analyze ecological data efficiency. So, how to do the sampling? What is the sampling? Is been discussed under week 2 has had been discussed. Mega diversity nations, we also discussed about the mega biodiversity nation and biodiversity hotspots. There are 17 mega biodiversity nation, and India has got 4 biodiversity hotspots, and there are global conservation priorities area require urgent potential due to high biodiversity value, and thus we know why the area is being declared as the biodiversity hotspot. The area which is having the maximum endemic species is known, can be considered as the biodiversity hotspot, and our all 4 biodiversity hotspots present in India are having lots of endemic species. So recognizing India as a mega biodiversity nation and understand our biodiversity hotspots help you appreciate the country's critical role in global conservation. This is this lecture. These lectures were made you to understand how important we are. We are also contributing in the world biodiversity. We have 4 biodiversity hotspots. Week 3, we discuss about some biodiversity hotspots, ecosystem and ecosystem services from hotspots. What are the ecosystem services? The services which is provided by the environment is called as the ecosystem services, like water regulation, carbon storage, pollination services, soil fertility, medicinal plant resources. So these are the facilities is being provided by the environment, not by the human being. So that is why they are called the ecosystem services. Concept of endangered and endemic species and species conservation and management we also discuss in week 3. Threat to biodiversity due to habitat loss and fragmentation over exploitation of species, invasive species, alien species, displacing native organism, pollution, climate change. So, invasive species like Lantana camara, Parthenium, water hyacinth, and emerging threat zoonotic diseases. So, this is all we discuss in week 3. Also, we also discuss about the endangered species concept and how they are species at risk of extinction in the near future. And we also discuss about the different criteria of IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature red list, IUCN red list, critically endangered, endangered and vulnerable. These categories we discuss. We also, for example, great Indian bustard, Hangul deer, snow leopard, these all the threatened species, endangered species. And endemic species are those which are found to a confined area, no long range. That is the endemic, like Hangul in the Kashmir. Difference between endangered and endemic species we discuss during week 3. Week 4 is about the species conservation and management. After discussing what we have, what the world have, what the biodiversity we have, what kind of atmosphere we have, now this is the time to species conservation and management. Every species on the earth is important. So we discuss about the in situ and ex situ conservation concept and importance of in situ conservation means conservation of the species in its natural habitat. Government is making effort by declaring the area as a protected areas like national park, wildlife sanctuary, community reserves and conservation reserves. While ex situ conservation, when we are not able to conserve the species or the population is too low, then we bring the species and go for the ex situ conservation like zoos, botanical garden and all. We also are involved in the captive breeding program. Apart from that, we discuss concept and importance of tree outside forest. You have community forest and environmental conservation, sacred groves. We discussed Nidhi 1 under the sacred groves. Then joint forest management, RRA, PRA, replacing existing species with endemic species. And concept and types of disaster, that is the most important. We also discuss about the disaster and the disaster management. Disaster can be man-made, disaster can be natural. We all discuss all these things like types of disaster, natural disaster, man-made. Natural are earthquakes, floods and forest, volcanic eruption, landslide, drought, heat waves and cold water, avalanches and cyclone, tsunami. These are the natural disaster. So, man-made disaster, nuclear and radiological emergencies, biological, chemicals and mining. And in this, we discuss about the Bhopal gas tragedy. Act of wars, biological disaster may result from pathogens, lab accident, or deliberate. We just passed through the COVID. That was the man-made disaster. I hope that was the man-made disaster. Week 5, we discuss about the concept and types of disaster, disaster management and mitigation techniques. Introduction to sustainability, sustainable development goal to mitigate the impact of disaster, and also National Disaster Management Act we discuss, disaster relief management role, and DRM, armed forces, the role of all these acts and armed forces, paramilitary, fire services, NGOs and communities, role of community in disaster relief. Community often respond first when disaster strike. So all these things, what are existing act, what are the existing policy, we discuss in week 5. And also introduction to environmental pollution, types of environmental pollutants, air, water, all these we discuss in during week 5. And week 6 we discuss about the land pollution, measures and mitigation, land pollution and the impact of human health and environment. This picture clearly indicates what is the land pollution. The session focus on land pollution caused by waste dumping, industrial discharge and agricultural runoff. Our aim here was to explain such pollutant degrade soil quality, affect biodiversity and disrupts ecosystem. In this very title we explored control measures like improve waste management, soil remediations and public awareness to restore environment balance. 6, we had explored what are dams, large dam and its impact on the environment. The dams have impact on river system, impact on biodiversity, impact on forest and land. Dam means stopping the water, so flow of the aquatic animals from one area to another area is restricted because of the dams. So there is a negative impact of the dams on the biodiversity. Also we need to clear lots of land. So that is again one issue. Large dams offer significant benefits for water management and energy production but come with equal large environmental, social and cultural cost. We also discuss salient feature of environment and biodiversity law, like we discuss about the Environmental Protection Act 1986. We also discuss about the Biological Diversity Act, Biological Diversity, a convention took place in 1992, a Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD 1992, and as per the convention, every nation had to make their own law to protect their biodiversity, to conserve their biodiversity and for the sustainable utilization as well as equitable sharing of the genetic resources. So, under the Biological Biodiversity Act, there are 3-layer committee: National Biodiversity Authority, State Biodiversity Board, and Biodiversity Monitoring Committee. We discuss all these things under Biodiversity Act 2002. Week 7, salient feature of environment and biodiversity laws. We discuss about the Wildlife Protection Act. We discuss about the Forest Conservation Act. We discuss about the Water Prevention and Control Pollution Act 1974, and along with that we discuss about the Air Pollution Act 1981 and National Environmental Tribunal Act 1995. Also discuss about the CITES. CITES is the Convention on the International Trade of Endangered Species. So trade, we discuss, every nation has got their own acts and rules to control the trade, but what kind of we need to control the international trade. For that we brought the CITES, Convention on International Trade, took place. And week 7 also about the human wildlife conflict in India, challenges and mitigation we discussed. And to overcome, we have proposed some solution like overbridge, so that animal can pass from one area to another area easily. We have different techniques to techniques we have developed, like radio telemetry and all, to track the animal, and also awareness program we are doing. Human wildlife conflict, to mitigate the human wildlife conflict. Week 8 is waste management and global environmental issues. We discuss all kind of waste and why, what are the harms and how we can manage the waste. And also we discuss global environmental issues, global warming and climate change, ozone layer depletion and acid rains. So this is all we discuss in week 8. Moving on to week 8, we had covered waste management and global environmental issues. We discussed types of waste, industrial, domestic, hazardous and biochemical, and explored the main method of waste management, such as recycling waste, minimize landfill disposal, incineration and dumping at sea level. You learn about the current situation of waste management in India, including major sources of waste, existing disposal method, and the impact of improper disposal on human health and the environment. We also discuss the global environmental issues, focusing on global warming, climate change, ozone layer depletion and acid rains. So these things we have discussed in all through weeks 8. By the end of this week, you must have developed a broad and integrative understanding of how environmental management and global policies together shape the path towards sustainable development. This is what we have learned throughout this course. And key takeaway from this course, throughout this course, you develop a comprehensive understanding of environmental system and how they interact. You gain practical exposure to biodiversity assessment technique and conservation planning approaches. We explored India's remarkable biodiversity and discussed our shared responsibility in conserving it. You also learn about evidence-based tool used for informed environmental decision making. Altogether, these sessions have provided a strong foundation to help you become informed and active steward of the environment. Moving forward, your role in conservation: apply your learning to real-world environmental challenges, participate in community-driven conservation initiative, continue updating your knowledge on emerging environmental issues, advocate for sustainability in your personal and professional life, and contribute to promote biodiversity hotspots and fragile ecosystem. As we conclude, remember that your learning doesn't end here. It begins now in the real world. Apply what you have learned to solve environmental problem in communities, in your communities. Stay informed about emerging goals and local conservation issues, and participate in community-based efforts. Be advocate for sustainable choice in your daily and professional lives. Above all, contribute in any way you can to protecting biodiversity hotspots and critical ecosystem, because every individual action truly counts to preserve these planets. So with this, thank you very much. This is the end of the course, and together we can make a difference in environmental conservation. Do the minimum you can do. You always remember 3R: reuse, recycle and reduce. Reduce, reuse and recycle. Always remember 3R and go for the plantation. Every year at least 10 plants you can do. You can help to to for the better place to live. Environment you can make with your small efforts. You can make the environment better place to live for everyone, for the next generation. With this, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this course. Thank you.